The topic of discussion for this video is about abandoning your Singapore entity or the implications of ignoring compliances and the legal obligations of your Singapore registered company. Or put it other way, what happens when you dump your Singapore registered company and ignore all your responsibilities towards it? So this problem I have seen typically happening in case of foreign promoters. So let's understand what is exactly the situation if it is not clear to you. So let's suppose that a person has incorporated a company in Singapore. He is a foreigner, so this person stays somewhere abroad. And after incorporating the company, nothing much has really happened in that company. The company is more or less non operative, and the plans that the promoter was having have not really become fruitful. Next year invoices have been issued by the corporate service provider company, which are in the range of somewhere 3,000 to 4,000 Singapore dollars. So this will typically include nominee director services, company secretary, registered address, maybe some account preparation, finalization, filing, and so on. Now, since this company is not really operative, the promoter is bit in a dilemma, and as a result, he decides to stop responding to the corporate secretarial agent. So he will not respond to his emails, he will not respond to his AR collection team's request to make the payment, nor he will provide any data for accounting. And in general, he will cut off all the communication totally. Even the phone calls he will not pick up. So the expectation here is the corporate secretarial service provider agent who is based in Singapore will eventually close down the company and you will not have to incur any cost, not you have to pay any next year invoices. Unfortunately, this approach can be very dangerous and you can have some serious consequences in this case depending upon specific situation of your company. So let me explain this to you. The risk in this case are of two types. The first risk that you carry is having a negative record in Singapore. So you as a promoter can have a negative record. So after all these things are done, your record in the Singapore government system will get impacted. The second risk, which is of a company transfer to somebody else, while your name is on the public record, is what I feel is a more serious risk. So let's understand these two risks bit in detail. So the first risk is of a negative record being created in the Singapore government and various systems. So the first thing that will happen in case you stop responding and your bank account will eventually get closed because banks do charge some monthly service fee, and if there is not enough balance, the balance will go into negative, and when it goes into negative, banks will eventually close the bank account, and then your name as the ultimate beneficial owner will be blacklisted by that specific bank. Now this may not be a very big issue because in case in future you want to create another company, you can always approach another bank. The second step that will happen is corporate secretarial agent will have to proceed for the company closure. Now, company closure, when foreign director is not contactable, has different steps than the company closure, where foreign director has willingly signed everything and provided all the required information. So, this closure will have some negative consequences on your name. So, the first thing that happens is corporate secretarial provider, the agent, will have to file for the closure and indicate to ACRA that foreign director is not contactable, the information about accounting is not known, and the status as to the taxes is also not clear. When this declaration is made, at that point of time you have already committed two offenses by not providing accounts and not providing the tax information. So then depending upon the severity of this situation, so depending upon where your company exactly stand, it will have implications which will be from mild, in the sense only notice might be issued in your name, to a severe one where a court summon, that is an order to appear in the court, may be issued in your name. Now when the court summon is issued, this court summon is valid only within the jurisdiction of Singapore. So if you are staying in a foreign country, obviously it cannot reach to you. However, in future, if you happen to pass through Singapore or if you happen to enter into Singapore by crossing the immigration boundary, at that point of time, this court summon may suddenly get active and it might be handed over to you by the immigration officer himself. So these kind of cases have happened in past. Now, if this is a situation in your case, you will be allowed to enter into Singapore, but you won't be allowed to leave Singapore unless you post a suitable bail or unless the matter has been settled completely. At this point of time, note one thing that your name, date of birth, and passport number is already in the Singapore government system at the time of incorporation of the company. So even if your passport number subsequently changes, the combination of name and date of birth is a quite unique enough to identify the person conclusively. Now these are the risks that I say are because of the negative record, and while these risks are also quite harsh, I will still say that these are not as risky as the second part, which is about the company transfer. So let me explain now this situation. So this is a corporate secretarial firm, an agency, and they have a client A. And client A has not paid, and client A is not responding to any request of this corporate secretarial firm and has not made the payment of outstanding invoices. And this CSP is contemplating what should be done. So they are thinking that this company must be closed, as I have explained in the previous slides, and they are preparing documents for the same. At this point of time, some new client or somebody else from the same industry inquires if this corporate secretarial firm has any existing company with 2 to 3 years of age and preferably with an operative bank account. And if such a company is there, they are ready to pay more money than the normal incorporation charges, and let's say they are ready to pay $3,000 extra. Now, on the client A account, the corporate secretarial firm has already lost $3,000. They have raised the invoices and they have incurred the bad debt. But here, they are getting this opportunity to recover this money. As a result, they decide to transfer this client A company to this new client because client A has already abandoned this company. He is not providing any information. So, in case the paperwork signed at the time of incorporation of client A, if it permits, the corporate secretarial firm can transfer this company to somebody else. As a result, instead of striking off, they decide to transfer this company to another person, and this has some potential implications. And the risk is that when this way the owner of the company completely changes, it is expected that the secretarial firm will change the director on record of the company. It will also change the shareholders, and it will also notify the bank about the change in bank signatory or ultimate beneficial ownership shareholding. Now, most of the professional firms in Singapore will follow a proper procedure in this regard. But as you know, this is a big industry, and many players who are very small in size and who do not understand the implications of all these procedures do also exist. So it is quite possible that while they are supposed to do all this, what if they don't change all this? They don't change the director, they don't change the shareholder, and they also don't inform the bank about the change in the bank signatory or ultimate beneficial owners. What will that mean is your company, the company that you have abandoned, will still continue to be operational. You are still the director of the company on record, you are still the shareholder of the company on record, and you don't know what's going on in the company, what kind of transactions are being carried out, and what kind of deals are happening. These kind of cases have happened in past, and I know some of these cases well. So in general, my advice is that if you are not going to use your company, ensure that it is completely and properly closed. Do not leave a chance that it is transferred to somebody else without your knowledge, or somebody else is operating in that company and you in your home country are not even aware. Because if any crime is found in these companies, It is your name which is still on the public record. So maybe after investigation you will not have any risk, but that period of investigation is going to be quite painful. So I'm going to show here how you can check what is the current status of your company in Singapore. So let's go to the web browser. So I'm going to type here bitsfile.gov.sg. So I'm going to bitsfile.gov.sg. Go to buy information, business profile, and then select buy now. We are not going to buy any profile, but we will just check the status here. Now enter the name of your company. So I'm going to enter the name of one example company and search. So now the Accra system is showing me the record of this company. And if you check the status, it will say it is struck off. That means this company has been closed. If you see this is live company, or if you see that this is gazetted to be struck, that means it is not yet closed. If you see it to be live company, then definitely you should investigate what is the matter. In case it is gazetted to be struck off, it means it is in the process of being struck off, and struck off means the strike off process is complete and the company has been closed. So in summary, I will only advise that for saving some cost, don't take other unnecessary risk. Always ensure your company is fully closed down in case you don't plan to use it. It will obviously mean that you will have to incur some cost.
Thank you for watching this video. This video was brought to you by Epica Consulting Singapore. Subscribe to our channel today to get notified when new videos are posted.